Rue recounts his ordeal, astonishing the villagers with his survival and victory over the red bear, previously thought to be the apex predator of the woods. As life in the village resumes, Rue's new form and immense strength inadvertently cause problems during training, as his mere touch now severely injures the goblins, and even Kichi's armor is nearly destroyed. Disheartened, Kichi isolates himself for personal training, while Mayo and Saya bond, and Goi mines for spirit stones. Rue, benefiting from previously consumed slime, finds he can still use his arm to some extent. During this period, Goi urgently brings Rue an injured spirit named Latana, who he quickly heals. Latana introduces herself and explains her attack by humans, attributing it to the valuable gem on her head. She reveals her creation by a legendary magician to guard his secret treasure room filled with legendary items, pleading for their help to fend off further human attacks. Latana reveals that her master despised humans and would prefer to bestow all his treasures upon Rue and his companions rather than let humans have them. Intrigued, Rue decides to investigate further. Despite Rubelia's concerns, Rue reassures her that he plans to negotiate with the humans first rather than resorting to violence. Accompanied by Goi, he heads to her mining hall, which apparently leads directly to the treasure room. Rue instructs Goi to stay hidden while he confronts the adventurers himself. Upon encountering Rue, the adventurers are taken aback by the sight of an ogre and attack immediately, starting with an assassin. Rue effortlessly thwarts the attack and warns them they are trespassing, asking them to leave. When they aggressively refuse and attack again, Rue dismisses their techniques as overly simplistic, reliant on their levels and advancements. He's then struck by a lightning spell, which surprisingly has no effect on him. Frustrated, Rue ends up consuming all the adventurers, absorbing their jobs and discovering items like a magic bag and a concealment ring. After consuming the ring, he gains the Dimensional Item Box ability. Later, Latana leads them to her Master Velvet before fading away, leaving behind her gem, which Rue consumes to acquire the Golden Rule ability. With his new Item Box ability, they manage to collect all the treasure. Feeling a sense of responsibility, Rue decides to cremate the adventurer's remains, and surprisingly, a glove emerges from the ashes. When he tries it on, it bonds with him, revealing itself as a legendary item, enhancing his powers even further. The group is astounded by the glove's integration, and Rue finds that it feels as natural as his own hand. He examines the collected items, finding them exceptionally powerful. He shares most of the treasure with the other hobgoblins, but keeps 2 legendary items for himself, recognizing their extraordinary rarity. As Rue continues his adventures, he consumes a golden spider and a crystal deer, gaining their abilities. He eventually encounters a dryad, known for their seductive nature and nutritional use of men. Despite struggling, Rue succumbs to her allure but gains the dryad's blessing and her hopes for his return. Back at camp, Rue finds the female members of his group ignoring him. The next day, Rue discovers that his search ability has improved, sensing a group approaching. He meets the elves, who condescendingly regard the goblins as savages, and offer a reward for defeating the humans threatening the woods. Gabu considers it a generous offer, but Rue refuses, mistrusting the elves' sincerity. As tensions rise, Rue stuns the elves with his formidable aura, threatening their leader to ensure his command to retreat is obeyed. Rue makes it clear that while he rejected the offer due to their tone, he is committed to protecting the woods, which he now considers his home. To emphasize his point, he summons an array of spears, encircling the elves and compelling them to withdraw. Later, Rue successfully hunts a gray slime, consuming its core to acquire a skill named auto-replication. Curious about its potential, Rue experiments by using his blood to create a tiny remote creature, realizing it could serve as a surveillance tool. He then applies his blood to the girl's clothing as a protective measure. A few days later, Sensing the elves approaching, Rue confronts them as their leader commands an attack. However, Rue quickly incapacitates them with a powerful roar and entangles them in his web. Upon questioning, the elven leader reveals his motive for revenge, although his companions express their disapproval of his actions. Rue decides to execute the leader, but offers the others a chance to survive by engaging in mock battles against the goblins. After these confrontations, Rue consumes the defeated elves, absorbing their skills, and takes the survivors as prisoners, sternly warning Gabu against any misconduct, especially since most are women. In the midst of these events, Kichi returns from defeating a bear, having reached his maximum level and evolved into a special variant blessed by demigods. He challenges Rue, seeking to test his new strength. The duel is intense, but Rue ultimately prevails, acknowledging Kichi's significant improvement and recognizing him as a worthy rival. Back in the cave, Rue encounters a mysterious dark figure in what seems to be a dream, receiving a cryptic gift before abruptly waking up. Inspired by Kichi's evolution, the other goblins are motivated to advance, with Spanel identifying a potential mage among them, a hobgoblin named Ji, suitable for the role of a cleric. Meanwhile, Saya, who has evolved into a half-spell lord, tests her enhanced powers outside, causing destruction with multiple fireballs and boasting about her abilities, though Rue notes she still hasn't reached her full potential. As the village celebrates Savia's progress with new equipment, Rue observes the training sessions, pleased with the advancements of his generation compared to predecessors, attributing their success to the different upbringing in the village. The following day, goblins from the older generation express their discontent with Rue's leadership and their desire to leave the village. Rue respects their decision, offering them a metal knife as a parting gift, demonstrating its use by making a cut on himself. Shortly after, Rue encounters an orc carrying a dead human with a unique ability. Seeing potential in the human's skills, Rue eliminates the orc and consumes the human's body to acquire his abilities, continually seeking to enhance his own powers through strategic means. Returning to the cave, Rue is greeted by Spanel, who offers him a drink. He is pleasantly surprised to find it's beer and thanks her for crafting it. The mood is festive as everyone gathers for a feast. During the gathering, Rue addresses the group about the goblins who decided to leave the village, probing if anyone else wishes to depart. Met with silence, he senses their contentment, and they all celebrate together with drinks. After the feast, Rue utilizes his blood to craft earrings designed for remote communication. He distributes these to the villagers, who are impressed by the functionality. Later, Goy successfully strikes down a Trehorn in one hit. Observing that it's still alive, Rue employs the monster tamer ability he acquired from a human, and the Trehorn revives, acknowledging the goblins as its master. Realizing the utility of this skill, Rue plans to tame more creatures to aid his village. Meanwhile, Rubelia engages in combat with kobolds, defeating 3 single-handedly. As she prepares to eat, she experiences a strange sensation and discovers she has unlocked a new job class, Nor Soldier, which allows her to level up quickly but requires her to consume monsters continuously. During her monster hunts, Rubelia informs Rue that humans have entered the woods, prompting Rue to anticipate conflict. Sometime later, Rue detects a group of kobolds rushing towards the cave, fleeing from a horde of skeletons. He commands his forces to engage the skeletons, but they quickly discover their weapons are ineffective. Rue senses a powerful entity controlling the skeletons. As Saya struggles, she inadvertently discovers that blunt attacks are effective when her scabbard causes a skeleton to crumble. Rue orders everyone to use blunt force, and they begin to fight with their fists. He then tells them to step back, needing only 10 seconds to confront the threat. Charging forward, Rue dispatches the skeletons in just 7 seconds and defeats their leader with a powerful punch, absorbing its abilities. The grateful kobolds pledge allegiance to Rue, explaining they had accidentally disturbed a treasury's guardian, which unleashed the skeletons. Despite the goblins' past conflicts with kobolds, the kobolds expressed their willingness to accept any fate Rue decides, acknowledging their own weakness. Rue opts to aid in their recovery, reflecting on the diverse and intriguing community forming in his village.